What's going on, good people? Rich here.
School in the building. What's happening?
It's your girl Ray P back on the mic for another one. What's going on, y'all?
Slow motion on
What's
this
happening?
end. You already know, man. We back at it again with another episode of the Culture Garden podcast. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for watching us. If you're on YouTube, thank you for your continued support week in and week out. If you are new to the Culture Garden podcast, this space was made for specifically Black film, Black filmmakers, Black actors, Black directors, everybody who's contributed to the culture. Rachel School and myself, we are movie fanatics. It doesn't just stop at Black culture. We'll talk about any film, but we really wanted to make a space for us because a lot of these classics that we consider classics aren't mentioned enough, and there weren't enough spaces for it. So that's the whole reason for it. But like I said, if you are new and you are listening every single week, you'll know that we throw in some different movies every now and then. But I at least wanted to give the premise of what we are all about. We also have a television feed called We Got Y'all. We are currently working on Succession right now. We have We Got Y'all, not We Got Y'all, Run the World, which comes on Stars. We have that starting at the end of May. So we're really excited to get that rolling. And as far as today's film go, there will be spoilers and explicit content. Like came out in 97, but just want to tell people just in case it is a film worth watching. It is one of those films where, I would want to watch this before talking about it if I didn't see it already. So just want to make sure I give that disclaimer. And we are talking, of course, about the 1997 film Eve's Bayou. A quick synopsis. What did little Eve see and how will it haunt her? Husband, father, and womanizer, Luis Batiste is the head of an affluent family, but it's the women who rule this gothic world of secrets, lies, and mystic forces. School. This was your pick. I got something, but I'm gonna save it until after you explain it because there's something that needs to be mentioned early on with this episode and with this film in general. But let's get into your pick. If you guys are new, once again, we rotate movies as far as what the selection is, and we talk about them the day of. These are all real live on the fly thoughts and conversations. So you said Eve's Bayou. What made you want to go with this one?
I went with Eve's Bayou because of the acting. This movie is phenomenal. No one misses their cues. No one misses their marks. Samuel Jackson is playing a character that I don't think we've ever seen him play. He is phenomenal in this movie. Lynn Whitfield and the child acting is beautiful. Megan Good, who we at this point I think we only knew her for like Cousin Skeeter and some other things, but this might have been like right around the time of Cousin Skeeter. She was dope in this, and Jurnee was Full House, I believe, and maybe the TV show they had. But
come on, man, put some respect on Martin. Christmas episode, man. Put some respect on season 1 of Martin.
Season 1 of Martin, absolutely. But so just the acting is phenomenal. Debbie Morgan, Lisa Carson. Am I saying that right? Is that it? Yeah. I think she was. I don't know if Ally
Lisa
McBeal
Nicole Carson.
Lisa Nicole Carson. I don't think Ally McBeal was out yet, but sheesh.
Yeah,
she had phenomenal.
She had Love Jones come out this year as well.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah. All right, man. We're gonna get into it. We'll talk about first experiences. I do want to run through some stats first, and then we'll start the conversation just so everybody's on board. The one thing I did want to kind of start off with, not to have a full conversation. I don't know how many people out there are watching or listening are aware there's 2 different versions of this film. Rachel, you were aware of that, right?
No. What's the other version?
The director's cut.
Okay. No.
Were you aware of that?
I was aware of it, but I've never seen it.
So, all right, I'll just say this right now, and the reason because you can't find it anywhere. Like Kasi Lemmon, she'll show it every blue moon, but it's not something that's accessible. You can't Amazon it. You can't even stream it anywhere. But the biggest thing is there's a major character in the film that's removed.
Who?
And his name's Uncle Tommy. We don't know him in the film version, the regular version. There's a character named Uncle Tommy. He is a disabled mute, and he kind of is the person. He's inspired by one of the director Kasi Lemmon, one of her great uncles. But he plays a big part in the what happened between Cicely and Luis moment because he was in the room when it happened. So in the original version, what goes down in the movie goes down, and then there's a glass that shatters, similar to the opening scene when you see Eve and that wine glass fall between Mrs. Moreau and Luis. There's something similar where, like I said, he's a mute. He can't speak, which goes hand in hand with the movie. It's kind of all up for interpretation and how our memories work. But he saw it, and he dropped the glass to stop whatever was going on. He stopped it by making that distraction. And it's still kind of, and he also was at the end of the film seeing them destroy that letter that Luis wrote to Mazel. So there's a lot of different things that character has. And so it's funny because if you Google it or you like look on chat boards, I don't know if this is like 98. I don't know why I said chat boards, but if you look online, you will see people being confused. Like, who are Uncle Tom? Who are y'all talking about? What movie did I see? And that's the reason why.
Okay. Got it.
So there's a director's cut. So for those who have seen it, shout out to y'all. If you haven't, and people ever mention any kind of Uncle Tommy or scenes of that nature, now you know why, because there are two different versions. Kasi Lemmon wanted the original version in her film. She wanted Uncle Tommy there, but there was somebody who was financing the film that said nope, and they ended up having to cut it. And that's just how it worked. When you control the money, you control everything else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, just wanted to run through that real quick. And stats. Released November 7th, 1997. Ray P, how long was it in theaters?
25 weeks.
School?
32 weeks.
8 weeks. 56 days.
That makes sense.
And I think it's an independent film.
That's why.
So I think that's a big part of it. It didn't have a ton of backing for any kind of theatrical release. Directed and written by Kasi Lemmon. I've mentioned her already. Her feature film debut. I mean, what a start if you're going to have a film. She had a short that released the year before this, and the short was, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it kind of was a more comedic tone to something you see in this film. And we'll talk about her origin as well. She's also directed 2007's Talk to Me, starring Don Cheadle and Chiwetel Ejiofor, Taraji P. Henson. Love that film. Yes. 2013's Black Nativity, 2019's Harriet, and last year's Whitney Houston biopic. I Just Want to Dance with Somebody. So she's directed all of those. This film had an estimated budget of $4 million and made $14.8 million worldwide. I've heard between 3 and 4, depending on who you ask. But to get that money and make this type of film was incredible. And it is currently streaming on Showtime.
So I just had to drop this jewel, and I'm sure you know this, but you know she's Cookie from the 5 Heartbeats.
Who you talking about?
Kasi Lemmon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cookie from the 5 Heartbeats. As far as awards go, one big thing I want to recognize, 2018 National Film Registry. So that was an honor from the National Film Preservation Board. For those who don't know, every year 25 films are selected. It's kind of like a Hall of Fame thing because they're not current years. They have to go through the test of time and see how they preserve. And if you are important enough, you're placed in there. They do it with music, albums. So it's a very prestigious thing. Like I said, this film came out in 1997. 2018, they decided to put that in there. Time magazine had it as one of the top 25 most important movies about race. Whatever. I don't look at this as a race movie. There's racial elements just as far as us seeing Black people in that way, especially in 1997 on a movie based in the 60s in the rural South. But other than that, go ahead, Rachel.
It's not a film about race, so I hate that, but you know how it goes for white publications and Black movies. But I mean, there is history and a story to tell about the Black Southern Gothic, and then the upwardly mobile, especially in Louisiana. So I mean, there's a story to tell and rich, like, I guess, cultural and Black history there. But
I'm with you, Rachel. It reminded me of the conversation we had when we did Mo Better Blues, and I was talking about the reviews, and you were just like, it wasn't for them. Like, it's not. I don't care. That's how I felt when I read that. I'm like, 25 films about race. There's so many other things you could put at top 25 of. To just kind of lean on that is a little bit lazy from them, but also expected. So it is what it is. I'm glad you mentioned Southern Gothic because that is the subgenre that we have in this film. It's an artistic subgenre of fiction, country music, film, television, all of that stuff that's kind of heavily influenced by Gothic elements in the American South. It's one of those things where if you are Midwest people like us, or if you grew up on the West Coast, it can be a completely foreign land. There's a lot of things in this film that is probably very normal to people who grew up in that area in Louisiana, Even when you get down to the fortune teller, that is just a little bit taboo to us. We just don't know it or recognize it. We didn't grow up with it. But Samuel L. Jackson made a wonderful point. He said, if we can grow up believing that Hansel and Gretel were in the woods with a woman cooking kids and stuff, like I can't understand why anybody couldn't grasp her mind about anything that's happening in this film.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did love the way that he put that. Chicago Film Critics Association Awards. Debbie Morgan won Best Supporting Actress. Critics' Choice Awards, Best Child Performer, Jurnee Smollett. Film Independent Spirit Awards. Once again, this was an independent movie. It was the Best First Feature for Kasi Lemmon, Best Supporting Female for Debbie Morgan. So we see a trend going on. Acapulco Black Film Festival, Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor. Best Actor went to Samuel L. Jackson. And then everybody was pretty much nominated for an NAACP Image Award. Yeah. Nobody won, but everybody was. The film was nominated for it, all of that. As far as the cast, we have Samuel L. Jackson as Louise Batiste. Jurnee
Louis.
Louis, I'm sorry. I keep saying Louis because 3 years of French in high school, man. And sometimes when I see that Batiste, I just be throwing my little extra shit on there.
But then you gotta take the S off. Louis.
I know. Listen, man, I'm up here tweaking. It's all good. Louis, my bad, y'all. I've been having a little thing with mispronouncing people's names lately, so I got to get that right. So anyway, you said what?
We'll keep you straight.
I appreciate you. See, balance. Life is about balance, accountability. We have Jurnee Smollett as Eve Batiste, Megan Good as Cicely Batiste, Lynn Whitfield as Roz Batiste, Debbie Morgan as Mazel Batiste Delacroix, Jake Smollett as Poe Batiste, Ethel Ayler as Graham Muir, Diane Carroll, the legendary Diane Carroll as Elzora, Vondi Curtis Hall as Julian Greyraven, and Lisa Nicole Carson as Maddie Moreau. So that is your principal cast. As far as first experiences go, film, we'll swing it back to you, School. This is your choice. Do you remember your first experice with this? Because
absolutely.
We were super young when this came out, and it's a very mature film to kind of get into.
It's probably going to sound like deja vu, but 85 classic, man. I remember watching this on, it might have been Black Stars or Black Showtime, whatever it was, one of them, but definitely watched this movie all the time. Anytime it came on, I was watching this movie. I watched it with Big Sis, Lil Sis, whoever. We watching this movie.
Do you remember? So as far as first experience, do you remember what year? Did you watch it in 97? Do you remember?
No, I would say 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. So around 11, 12.
So at what age do you think you understood the movie?
Probably around 16, 17.
Okay. Gotcha.
16, 17. It made a little bit more sense. And now at 33, it makes even more sense. Like the movie just, every time I watch it, I catch something different every time. So this movie's dope, man. Samuel, very trigger warning. Like if you got any type of,
sexual abuse, history,
stuff like that. But this movie is a dope movie, man.
Absolutely. And Rachel, what about you?
Honestly, I don't remember my first time seeing this. I would assume, just given the time, 97, I was probably at my grandmother's house or my aunt's house, because that's where we all had to be every freaking day. Right. But yeah, I don't. That's the only thing I could assume that was my first time seeing it. But to School's point, every time it's on TV, I watch it. I literally went back and sought it out not that long ago. I fucking love this movie.
Got you. What drives your love of the film? Obviously, it's a great film. So I'm just curious, as a listener, what is it about it that kind of stands out to you?
I think the story, just because it was something different, and it still is different. We don't have, there are independent Black Southern Gothic films and literature, but we still really don't have anything like this. Lemonade, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Beyonce. Right, yeah. But that is in the wheelhouse of that. So who Beyonce is also has Creole genes from Louisiana, you know. So I think it's that, and just the performances. Everybody, to both of y'all's points, did their thing. I wrote down, Jurnee has been acting her ass off since the womb.
Forever.
Listen, can I say something real quick? Can I interject?
Yeah.
Here's something that really pissed me off, and it ties into what I mentioned at the beginning as far as why we even created this space. So I just did a Google search just out of curiosity. This is probably after my second watch for prepping of this, and I just greatest child performances in film, like of all time, and not one list that I saw mentioned Jurnee in this movie. And it like when I tell you I was pissed. Yep. Roger Ebert, in his review of the film, had mentioned that if this film isn't nominated by the Academy or recognized by the Academy, then they're not paying attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt when I saw those lists. And I'm just like, wow, what she did was otherworldly at 10 years old. I know the character was 10, but Jurnee herself was 10 years old as well.
10, right.
And one of our cultural phrases, she done been here before. Jurnee been here before, especially when it comes to this acting. And it's even crazy to say that because Megan Good did a great job in this film. And it's almost like an afterthought because Jurnee just takes it to a whole nother level.
And to ride on what you're saying, when you was talking about her being on Martin, then she was on Full House, and how childish she was. You know what I mean? How she was playing a kid. I'm sure that was easy. But this movie, she had to be very mature and tackle some mature things. And she was right there. That scene with Lynn Whitfield, man, listen, she did her thing.
And that's probably why I was so upset about that list, just because of the range. It's going to your point, School. The range of emotions she had to carry throughout this film, from being funny, from being clever, conniving, mischievous, all of that. And she wrote it all in the crying scene when she told Cicely, like, I'll kill him. Like all of that rolled into one for a 10-year-old on an independent film. Like, that's striking gold.
Yeah.
And like you said, he'd already been established. She'd been doing this since the womb. So the whole bouquet, the whole garden goes to Jurnee for what she pulled off in this film. I mean, it's really phenomenal.
Absolutely.
My first experience is like you, Rachel. I have no idea because it's almost what I was alluding to with you, School. It's even if I saw it at 11 or 12, I didn't see it. I didn't understand what I was watching. So it wasn't until those like later teen years when I'm just like, oh wow. But even then, you still don't put it all together and really understand the weight of it and the significance of it. You just do a little bit more living. And now, 36-year-old man, sheesh, this is a deep movie. There's a lot of weight. But I also appreciate what it represented in 1997, just from a sense of you have a woman director, which she fell into that. Nobody wanted to direct the film. So that's how she ended up directing. It wasn't her thing. She wrote it. She was like, I want somebody to direct it. They couldn't find anybody. Fuck it, I'll do it.
So I have to stop you on that one. So I watched a interview with Samuel Jackson on Charlie Rose, and he said that Danny Glover was supposed to do the movie. He signed up. He was going to play Lewis, and he wanted to direct it. And Kasi said no, because this is her script. So she passed on Danny Glover doing the movie because he didn't want to do it if he couldn't direct. She said she had to direct it. So
there's different stories now, because there's also another version that says Kasi said, I didn't want to direct, but we couldn't find anybody to do it, so I did. But she did say that she's grateful that she did, because unlike Set It Off, unlike Waiting to Excel, these movies based on Black women, which is one big thing I love about this film. These movies based on Black women were directed by Black men.
Yeah.
And it was big for a Black woman to be telling this story, especially such a coming of age, gentle, complicated. It reminded me of how much I don't know about women, especially young women, and the things that and when I say women, I don't mean as a grown man. I mean, I'm not saying I know something about that either. Don't get me wrong. But just that transition from your adolescence or from being a child into that womanhood, and just how that's such a delicate time for women.
Absolutely.
And it's very important to make sure that they get everything that they need during that, because anything going left can cause so much confusion that can lead to so much trauma down the line, and it might not even be recognized at front. So I don't think I've ever looked at the film from that perspective. when I watched it this time. But it was, like I said, just that believe in women, what they say, the understanding that they're leaving everything to interpretation. A lot of this film is based off memories, and not everybody, did things really go how did Eve see what she thought she saw? The audience thinks we do, of course we do, but no, we all know that she did. The point is they play with that time lapse type of what's real, what's not type of thing, and I thought it was just very interesting to play into.
Absolutely, I definitely had to ask my wife a few questions. You know what I mean, during the movie, like, does this really happen and stuff like that. Just did you get a sense of? Well, the whole Lewis and Cicely, like, did you get vibes of, abuse and molestation and stuff from him? And she was like, yeah, I kind of did. And I was like, damn, okay. Like,
I didn't at all.
Didn't either.
I didn't.
I didn't that way
at all. As a favorite daughter.
I just felt like that was his right hand, and lines got crossed. She was young.
Firstborn daughter, I'll say that. And then as far as Eve goes, middle child syndrome is very, very, very real. I do think that Cicely, but again, she's 14. And 14, you're smelling yourself a little bit. And when your father dotes on you, and I'm not talking about in any sexually explicit or foul play kind of way, it does give you a boost of confidence that will likely cause a rift between you and your mother. I know that I caused many a rift, many an argument with Jimmy Rhonda because my daddy is my road dog, So I think it was more of that. And I mean, we'll get to it, but I really believe Lewis's side of the story of what happened. And I know you believe women, but I actually did believe Lewis's side.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Trust me, I get it. I still don't. I don't know. No. Like I honestly do not know, and that's what makes it fascinating. Something you said earlier, Rachel, not having seen a film like this. That was something that stood out to me. Samuel Jackson had a quote. He was talking about that. I found these people immediately attractive, and the beauty of the story itself is not the kind of story that we see often, not just in an ethnic sense, but in a cinematic sense. It was unique and fresh, and I thought it deserved telling. Essentially, that's what we are, storytellers. And I was lucky to find a part that was this interesting man in a beautiful world of women. So I got in touch with my feminine side in a lot of ways, whether I wanted to or not. It was that kind of experience. So I still haven't really seen, I know you mentioned Lemonade, but we're going to, music at that point. I still haven't seen really a film like this. Okay. You know what I mean? So I do love that part of it.
Definitely.
Malcolm Gladwell, he's an author, just overall smart guy. He has this podcast called Revisionist History. And there's an episode about this guy named Brian Miller. He was a news anchor that told some story about him being in some warplane over in Iraq. That has nothing to do with this. The whole point of it was the way our brains work and the memories. And there is something called a flashlight memory. I think that's what it's called. Flashlight event, excuse me. So big dramatic events that sear themselves into our brains. So if you ask somebody where you were on 9/11, I'm sure we all can tell like what we were doing on 9/11. Yeah. So if you start asking follow-up questions, who are you with? What was this? What was that? They do these tests in the memory field where they'll ask you an event, and then they'll ask you an event a year from then, and then 2 years, and then 10 years from that. And usually 60% on average, 60% of those stories change. Dang. Because of the way our brain, when we remember things, we don't remember when they happened. We remember our last time remembering. So little small pieces. So that's why a lot of times when you'll get a group of people who've been known each other for forever, let's say Rachel, us, college crew, we got together, we talking about some shit from freshman year. We might have 3 different people all remembering us being at some situation, but the story going different because something might have happened a week later and we blend that in with whatever happened. It's just the way our brains work. And I'm big into that kind of stuff, psychology and all that. And I just like the fact that they made it to I don't know. Like, what happened? Whose version do you believe? And they just kind of left it up in the air. But either way,
for sure.
Through the eyes of a 10-year-old, the Avatar. How did you feel about the story? Because this doesn't work a lot. It's hard to tell it. We talked about it on Soul Food. It's hard to have a perspective of a child in the film to be like this good. Do you think I guess the question I want to ask is, can you see another child keeping your interest like this? Or let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase this, Rachel. In school, Megan Good was originally supposed to play Eve.
No.
Yep. The screenplay was written in 93. So at the time, Megan was 10. She was 10. She was there. It took too long to get the budget. Obviously, they didn't start filming until 96. At this point, Megan's 13. And Kasi Lemmon said it kind of worked out for everybody. She mentioned that whole she's at this age of where she needs to be protected. When I saw her after seeing her at 10 and saw her turning into a young woman, she felt like Cicely. And she said Jurnee had everything that I wanted in
Eve.
She just had that extra. Not saying Megan wasn't good, because Megan is good, but she said Jurnee was Eve. We talked about that before. Jurnee, like when the director and the writer, when you see it, this is exactly who I thought of when I wrote it. This little girl right here.
Yeah.
You kind of answered it already, but I guess you don't see somebody like Megan Good if she was playing the Eve role. Do you think this film is as, I don't want to say entertaining, because I don't think that's the word for it, as intriguing or as compelling?
No, not for me. I don't want to shit on Megan. Here's the thing. I hated Megan Good because of this movie for years. For years. Because how could you do your daddy like that? As the daddy's girl, I hated her. I hated him for you. But
Dang, so you really turned the character into real life.
Yeah. I think that she did amazing as Cicely, and for what we've seen Megan do thereafter. And I think she has an uncensored coming up on TV One, which I want to check out, because she talks about her transition from a child actor to then becoming, this vixen, but being pretty much typecast into like the sexy roles only, and only now she's coming more into more depth. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. No, I don't see her as Eve.
What about you, School?
I'm gonna have to agree. There are certain people who were born for certain roles, and I just feel like Jurnee was born for this role. She did her thing. I can't picture anyone else playing this role. If I had to, I guess, think about somebody, I guess it would be like a Raven Simone, and that has nothing to do with the complexion. It has everything to do with Raven is one of those only child actresses or actors that had that pizzazz, that she can, that range, you know what I mean? She could have pulled it off, I believe.
I think she's the only other name that you can think of, but I don't think she could do that because she is a comedic actor. I can't think of anything that really stretched Raven. You know what I'm saying? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's nothing coming to.
No, there's no example, but I think I could see it. It's not far-fetched. Yeah. Could she do it? It's like, could it be believable? I don't know, but I think she probably has a better chance than what we might be alluding to. But either way, I don't think it's not Jurnee.
Yeah,
it's just not Jurnee.
She was born. Jurnee was born.
Yeah, even if that was the only role in her career that she was good for, like that was it. She knocked it out the park. She really destroyed it. Yeah. We'll get into our categories. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say before we get into scenes and categories and all that?
No.
I did want to just one more thing from Kasi Lemmon's about the film. The story is not autobiographical, but she said there are definitely pieces of my family in it. The writing process was therapeutic because it allowed her to process things that happened to her, things that I'm still wrestling with. At the core of Eve, it's me in my childhood and wrestling with how powerful I was as a child. How did I fight my way through uncomfortable situations and the stress that I felt? Didn't get into detail, but she said it's not 100% autobiographical, but there's a lot of experience that she pulled from.
Okay.
So take that as it is. So
Wait a
Eve is
minute,
her.
Okay.
You said what?
I said that might change some things, but okay.
I mean, listen, it makes that quote makes 100% sense when you think about it. And I think that's the reason you have to pull from your own experience to write a film like this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I don't even think this isn't even something you play around with. Like, and when I say play around is, oh, I have this great idea about this film of
right.
There's got to be some kind of personal connection to it. I don't think anybody's just sitting around. Shout out to all the writers out there. I know we just started a writer strike.
Yeah, I was about to say that, man.
But I don't think there's anybody out there that's thinking of this type of script, which is why we haven't seen it. So, best scenes, school. I'm gonna let y'all go back and forth. I'm just gonna comment on y'all scenes. You know what I mean? Give my thoughts. Okay. But I think that'll just help y'all ping pong, get back and forth, and we'll take it from there.
So the opening scene. This movie just starts off the opening scene. It's amazing. It sets everything off. It gives you it tells you everything you need to know about every single character in this movie.
Absolutely, School. Absolutely.
So, the opening scene, definitely.
My only comment is same thing you said. It just sets the scene. For everybody. Ray P.
All of that. I'm a jump ahead because I'm going to include Eve finding Maddie and Lewis in the shed in that opening because it is all of that transition. So that for me is included in that. Again, Jurnee is acting her little ass off. But I'm a jump to Eve telling Cicely about Lewis and Maddie. Again, the performance and the juxtaposition of Cicely knowing that we find out later, knowing that Eve is right in telling the truth because, again, she's 14. She ain't low. You know what I'm saying? And she know her daddy be gone. She might not know and understand all the nuances of everything, but at 14, you know some things, you know what rubbing is.
100%.
And her trying to set the scene to be the big sister and to cover her father because that's her road dog. As much as she looks like Lynn Whitfield. Amazing. Go ahead, School.
Well, real quick, I just want to add into that. That also adds into one thing I love about that scene is the reminder that no matter how mature Eve is, she's still 10 years old. Yeah. So like I was mentioning earlier, how this film gives you a perspective of like, did it really happen? Did I really see that? It didn't take much for Cicely to tell her, no, she came in, daddy told her a joke, she fell in her arms. We know Eve's smarter than that, and she knows she's smarter than that, but still in her head. And I think some of that is that naivete. And also that this is my dad. I don't want to see my dad in this light. Like,
right.
Seeing that just fucked me up for real. So I just like that part of that because it's like, we know already as an audience that Eve is smarter than that.
Absolutely.
But we also get to see her innocence. Like she wants to believe what she told her in the same way that Cicely wanted to believe it, but she knew it wasn't true.
Yes.
So absolutely. I just want to add that 2 cents in there.
And then I'm going to go to the next, another, it's still part, I guess, of the opening is when Lewis and Mozelle's husband Uncle Harry are fighting, and you can tell that that's just a regular party that happens every time they have a party. They scrap, they get into it, all the funny little mess like that. Like you could tell he wasn't taking it serious. He's a drunk. When he gets drunk, he wants to fight. And then
but Harry was serious to the motherfucker.
Yeah, he was. Just like you said, at 14, Cicely was smelling herself, and she came downstairs. Yes, take your ass in the house. She's like, no, not until daddy comes in. All that little shit, man. Like that, they were setting the tone for that relationship. Like, that's her dog.
Absolutely. And you know what else I loved about that scene? We know that Lewis, he's the black doctor in town, understood Harry to be a blue collar, and just the differences between them, even though he's with Moselle, there's a class difference between the two of them as well
Yes.
that they was glossed over. But if you know, you know. And I love that. And I loved that Red or Eve was his favorite, because you can see obviously the favoritism going on with Cicely.
Yep.
He loved her. That's his baby. And we see, Moselle say, y'all are my children. But Eve is the only one who's really, really with her. So she was their child. So I love that shit. I'm gonna go to Eve spying on Moselle's clients after Harry dies, just because we know that Eve also has the sight, which, if you believe and subscribe to that, it is hereditary things with the supernatural. So I love that. And again, she's 10 years old, hearing all of this crazy shit and knowing and understanding your aunt's power that you share, you know what I'm saying? Which is probably why she took her under her wing too, aside from the, aesthetic resemblances. But I just love that. And then hearing the stories of other people, Moselle doing her shit even while she's mourning herself, So I just like that.
Absolutely. I love back. I'm gonna jump back with that scene too. I love that scene. And my favorite part of the scene is when she walks, when when Moselle walks the client out, and and Eve is sitting there acting like she's reading. She's talking about don't be cute. Because she's 10, she's trying to be sneaky and don't know how to do it. Like, don't be cute.
Exactly.
But my next scene, and I might be jumping a little far ahead, but is the fortune read is when
that's literally my next scene.
Yep, Moselle go get that fortune read by Diane Carroll, who I did not know that was her until this watch. This is the first time I realized that was Diane Carroll. Like she did makeup, they did their thing with her.
That was her idea. To put that makeup on too.
But the fortune, when she read her fortune, when you've never seen the movie, you don't realize that she's really giving her the truth. Like everything she said was spot on. You know what I mean? If I can read it, she tells her, "You're in pain. There's an end to your problem, though not one you'd imagine. Stay quiet and wait. Sometimes a soldier falls on his own sword. In 3 years' time, you will be happy again. Look to your children." Like, gave it to her.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that was mentioned in this film, that was the prophetic. Any kind of prophecy was pretty much fulfilled.
Yep.
So yeah.
Absolutely. You had anything to add to that?
Who, me? Nah, I thought it was a great scene as well. I think you just covered everything.
I will go to the kids being stuck in the house after Moselle and Ross come back from that, saying that we in the house, y'all in the house indefinitely. And so all the kids just being fed up. Eve has memorized all of Shakespeare, playing pranks on Poe, annoying Cicely, who won't get out of the goddamn bathroom. Just the chaos of all of that and everything going on in that house, and the mounting tension between Roz and Lewis, who we found out is now just not bringing his ass home. Like, you at the bar every night, she said that he's not working. I know he's not. To be a little kid, to now, after Eve went with him on that last all those home, that's that Southern shit too. Like, nigga, get your ass to this office.
Nah, he gonna pull up.
Right, some
Legend in 2 games, like a Pee Wee Kirkland.
Stupid. The mounting tension, and
dropping off dick and prescription.
100. Can you give me something for the pain? Hello.
Hey.
My bad, Rachel. I didn't cut you off, but Louis is out here wilding, man. As you speaking, and I'm thinking about that house call. I'm like, he was out here on his
front of his
daughter. He was out here being ridiculous. Just his mother said he think he the second coming of Christ. Like, nigga, get your ass in your home, and take care of your children. They're clearly going through some things.
Facts.
cussing, recanting the whole everything that's going on with Roz cutting herself, Cicely not getting out the tub, and her just having that moment, and Moselle being the one to swat Eve, like, girl, all right now, you in that mouth. So that just was an amazing scene for me.
I'm with you. That whole scene, and I'll say this: if they were going to nominate Jurnee, that would have been the scene. That's the scene that gets her the nomination.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feed off that when her and Auntie Roz, like when she pulls her to the side, let me holler at you, because we've all been in that moment where you overstep a little bit, and your mama, somebody pulls you to the side. She pulls her to the side and like, so what you think you know? Let's talk about it. And she tells her like, I saw Pops and
she broke it down, didn't she?
Yeah, she broke it down and told her, like, if you ever repeat, did you tell anyone else? Well, if you ever tell anyone else, I'll kill you. Like, keep that to yourself. Straight up. So shout out to Debbie Morgan, man.
Debbie Morgan killed it.
Yeah.
Debbie Morgan, if it wasn't for Jurnee, I think she's a runaway as far as like stealing the show in this film.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jurnee. 100%.
I'll agree with that.
You just mentioned something about Lewis, about we just discussed him being ridiculous and him just being out here. There's a quote Samuel Jackson had, and I want to get your opinion on it, both of your opinions. It's about the character Lewis. And he said Lewis was always trying to find validation for himself because he wasn't a big city doctor. He didn't have that kind of success. So he used his peccadillos as food for his ego. I guess these women expected certain things from him that he was willing to do because it was part of his healing process. His wife, Roz, had nothing to do with what he was doing in the street because he was fulfilling his obligations at home also, apparently, with all those kids around him. Now, if that is true, I don't think they showed that in character development. No. I never got the sense that Lewis was searching for more or felt less than for being a small, or I guess a rural doctor versus a big city doctor.
Yeah.
Did you guys get that at all? Because and I think in the letter, hold on, who was he talking to when he's mentioned about being a hero? Was that the letter?
Yes, that was in the letter.
That's the letter to myself.
So we can I think it ties into that. And it just, like I said, it just made me think about his character and all the stuff he was doing and being a second coming.
Yeah.
Do you think he viewed himself as not being enough, so that was his way of just getting out, or he was just being a nigga in the 60s that's just getting yams?
I think they didn't. I don't think they did a good job with the character development of that situation. If you wanted us to believe that, they didn't do a great job of that. But yeah, he's just getting yams, bro.
Here is what I think that there are multiple levels to that.
Okay.
Because I think that men who whore around are extremely insecure.
Okay.
So you need all of these women to make yourself feel like you're somebody, like you're the man. Me and my homeboy keep having this back and forth conversation about wanting a Wendy's ass bitch versus someone who is upperly mobile or probably on the same or greater socioeconomic level or status as you. And Roz was that. Here's the thing, the Baptiste, the Bayou, that's their family shit. So even though he's a rural doctor, they are still extremely well off in comparison. Look at that house and the land. They are the direct descendants of the founders of that place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, you're a rural doctor, but you still have to go to school in the city. You still had means to do the things, so it's not just that. So
yeah, it's like Roz. It's like Roz mentioned, that house has 4 bathrooms. Like, yeah, you bitching about Cicely being in the bathroom, but it's 3 other bathrooms you can go to.
3 other bathrooms you can go to and take a bath, not half bath. You know,
we well off. We good.
Right. So there's that aspect. Maybe there is a part of Lewis that wanted to leave the Bayou and stay, wherever he studied school in the city, this, that, and the third. Maybe. But here's the thing. You the man at home. Are you going to give that up? You run into big fish, small pond, and small pond, big fish. You the biggest fish in the bayou. You get down to New Orleans, not so much.
Right.
Let me stay here where these women, and I'm not going to call them all Wendy's ass bitches, but they think I'm somebody, and I can be that. I can be that hero. So a little bit. That's my 5 cents.
That was a dime. That was a dime. I think I agree with the both of you, because here's my thing. Lewis doesn't come off as somebody. It's hard to put a pin on how you feel about him, because he's doing trash shit, but it's not so far off from the trash shit that you see most people in that position do anyway. Not excusing it by any means.
Gotcha.
But it's not like it's so out this world that he's a womanizer and having all these women around. I do think there is some insecurity there, to your point, Rachel. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's about being a big city guy, because he just doesn't. There's not one scene. I think he enjoys kicking it at I forget the name of the bar that they go to. I think he enjoys kicking it there. I think he enjoys everything that he has going on. You just made the point of, if I'm in New Orleans, I'm not. I think there's nothing like being number one, being the guy.
Absolutely.
And at that point of his life, he's not trying to go to another city and compete to be number one. Like, I'm the man here. This is nothing. Like you said, the Batiste name, like, this is all us.
That's it. Hold on, School, not to cut you, but let me cut you. He got Roz from wherever she was and brought her back to the bayou. He ain't take one of them WABs that he knew growing up. He ain't go get Maddie, who he's known. He went and got refined ass, equally poised, city ass Roz from New Orleans, wherever the fuck she was from, to come down and move to the swamp and be with him and be his prize with all of the people that he gonna fuck around with, but not trying to be with them.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's funny you say that, because I was about to read the quote from Roz when she was talking to Moselle, when she said, "When I first met Lewis, I saw him set the leg of a boy who had fallen out of a tree, and I thought to myself, here's a man who can fix things. He's a healer. He'll take care of me. So I leave my family, I move to this swamp, and I find out he's just a man." Like, just a man. That's it. I'm gonna lay it down.
Chill. He was fixing tonight. How do you feel about Lewis as a person? Like, just as a person, like, if Lewis lived in your town and you knew all the shit, because at the very beginning, going back to why all three of us love the opening scene, tells us everything we need to know. When we see Mr. Moreau with Mrs. Moreau and he grabbing her ass, the two women sitting there saying, I ain't the only one that's getting it from what I hear. That is already out there. So do you think of him as a bad person? Like, he's not this evil over the top. I don't know how to think about it, because he cares about his family, it seems like, at least his kids. He's not trash, but he's trash.
Well, I think they purposely didn't show a lot of affection between him and Roz on purpose to keep that to keep it where we are right now, where we just don't know. Like, because he loved his kids. But that relationship with him and Roz was it was shaky. Like, prime example, when
I know what you're about to say.
When they was coming in there and Cicely tried to give him the warning, like, Daddy, go to the bar, go get out of here. And he was like, what's going on? They mad. He opened the door. Like, they always
mad.
One of my favorite scenes in the film. That's the scene I think that sets up his character perfectly.
Yeah, like
because when you unlock that level of I can do what I want, like, he is brazen about it. Like,
he's
know they pissed off. Closed door conversation, and you open it up with a smile on your face and get it. And here's the fascinating thing about that scene. Two of the three women in that scene are related to him.
Yes,
his mom and his sister. So normally there's a little bit of, hey, ease up on little bro. They know he on some trash too. And I'm sure we'll talk about scenes, because Rosalind has something that Moselle, has something that I love that she says in comparison with her brother. But I love that smile that he gives. Like, he had not one care in the world. Like, that was the true, I'm the breadwinner. Like, all of this, even though he's not, mom's is there. Like, hold on, man, I had this house before you.
Yeah.
But either way, them, they always close the door on
close the door and moving on.
That shit's silly, man. That's ignorant.
probably be friends with Lewis.
Yeah, I'm with Lewis,
As
man.
fucked up as he is, I would be tearing his ass up. But for real, personality wise, and just the men in my life who I am close to, I would probably be friends with Lewis. He fits right in.
Yeah, and you just kind of went to my point where it's just like you ain't shit, but neither is anybody else that I know.
Right.
And you're not that you actually kind of better than them.
Yeah,
so it's an interesting character. And like I think you mentioned at the very beginning of school, it's probably the most toned down we've ever seen Samuel L. Jackson.
For sure.
And the fact that he toned it down made that performance
much better.
It made that performance that much better. He gave us so much more by giving us less. I don't know whose turn it is as far as scenes.
I think it's me. Oh no, I think it's on you, School.
Yes, it is. Let me see. Okay, so the next scene I got is this is skipping a little bit, but when Eve sees Mr. Monroe and she sets that little breadcrumb in his head, like, hey, you work far away, don't you? You be out late, huh? Yeah. Sometimes you stay at the school. Yeah, that's crazy because my pops do too. And he already done heard the bullshit that be going around town because it's a small town. So she put them breadcrumbs, and then she went and paid Diane Carroll. I can't remember her name. Elzora. Who Elzora already knew what Elzora was a hustler for real. Because she already knew what was gonna happen, because she already told Roz. So she really scammed her out that $20. Do you feel that way? Yeah, that's my point. Like she scammed her.
Oh well, I don't want to cut in. Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't really want to say scam, quote unquote, because I think she took advantage of her just being a kid and not knowing. So I don't want to say scam, but she really did what she said she was going to do. You know what I'm saying? Had nothing happened to Lewis, then it's like, all right, now. But, she put the shit in the sarcophagus and the snake mouth and all of that. She did her part. So she took advantage.
That's the one thing that I say that I can't say she scammed her, because she ended up, Eve asked her specifically, she wanted somebody dead, and that person ended up dead. As a, I guess, quote unquote, direct occurrence to it.
Okay, well, I guess she didn't know that Roz and Eve were mother and daughter, and because she
knew daughter. Yeah, I mean they know who everybody is.
Yeah, you Mazelle's niece.
Well, the reason I say she scammed her was because she told Roz earlier that that Lewis was gonna get killed. Well, he was gonna die.
She didn't say that directly.
She didn't.
She didn't say that directly to him.
She said, "Look at your children, and here's you're gonna be happy."
Well, she said a soldier falls on his own sword.
But that could
right.
You're in pain.
But that doesn't mean that your kid is gonna kill you.
Right. Her pain, she could look at it as if Roz could have been looking at that as my pain is being caused by Mrs. Moreau. Maybe Mrs. Moreau dies. Like I don't think her mind instantly went to Lewis.
I'm talking about
Elzora.
Elzora.
What about
Elzora with the cat bones? She saw the future. So she's talking. If Rosalind's talking about her pain, which is her husband, that's my point. Like she already saw that Lewis would die.
Would die? Yes, to a degree, but I still don't think that that's her scamming Eve. When you have sight, you might not have the whole picture. It could have been Eve pushing him into the train versus her falling. The vision that Moselle saw, the kid falling in by the train tracks, because she saw that same thing. It wasn't the bus that actually killed the little boy. You know what I'm saying? Moselle's vision was what happened to Eve and Lewis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that when you have sight and gift, you might only see bits and pieces. So I don't think that she knew that Eve specifically was going to say, "I'm come kill my daddy," because she again never really gave the name. She gave the hair, she did that, but she never said it's my father.
Right. Okay,
That's
I'm
what
with you.
You just said everything I was going to say. That was my only disagreement with you. I think that money was for. She saw how serious. Remember, everybody else tipping her $1. We got to remember this is 1962.
Yeah.
So when she saw 20, she knew it was serious. Remember, she took her to the crib.
Yep.
Like, let's see what you want.
Yep.
You know. So all of that I think ties in. I don't think she scammed her at all.
Yeah, I don't think scam, but definitely took advantage because one, I know y'all got money. So yes, I'm gonna take this $20 that wherever you got it from, they don't even know what's missing. And the other thing that I will say, and Rich, you just said about her taking her to the crib, aside from the severity of the situation, here's the reality. Ozora is a quote unquote a wicked old witch doctor. You know what I'm saying? You're a horrid woman. She's that. And Moselle is an esteemed seer and doer who has the same powers. Moselle can put some shit on you too. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't look good for Eve to be in her tent.
No, right. Of course not.
Status quo. You know what I'm saying? So let me get you back to the house. So one, I can get the real, and two, don't have the rest of them crazy Baptiste and whomever else beating down my door because they think I'm doing something to their child.
Right.
100%. What are the scenes? What else I got?
I got Cicely.
Nobody said my favorite scene yet.
Okay, I got Cicely when she disobeys and goes to get a haircut and comes back to the house. Everybody's terrified, and Roz slapped the shit out of her because it was long overdue.
And the other scene I got is when the little boy finally does go ahead and pass away, and the way they were celebrating, and Grandma was like, "We shouldn't be here. This is wrong. We shouldn't be here celebrating. This is fucked up." Like,
that's always a funny scene. Not funny, haha, but just like they were really geeked, and that human element. If you know that something bad's supposed to happen, and it finally happens, and it ain't you.
2020 is a perfect example, bro. We was trapped in the house for a year and people were dying. But the second we were allowed to go outside, it was like, yes.
Niggas was outside. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. They were specifically celebrating one in particular. That shit crazy. But the human element.
They knew the boy.
Yeah, they knew. Yeah. Talking about we had to go, we gonna have a barbecue.
Yeah.
She made it sound like it was a birthday party.
Yeah, they having a barbecue.
That shit wild.
Outside. Like, yo.
That shit wild.
What's the scenes?
The last scene I have is, of course, Lewis getting I hate to say getting killed because it is messed up, but it just goes to show you that nonchalant, no care in the world. Mr. Monet told him, "Don't say nothing else to my wife." He meant it, and he just like, "Man, you drunk, man. Get the fuck out of here. See you later," or whatever he said to her. Have a good night. He gets killed. That shit's fucked up, man.
I'm blaming that 100% on Lewis.
100%. Shut your ass up.
Because there's a difference between talking some shit and knowing when a nigga dead serious.
Yeah.
Mr. Moreau, he wasn't playing not one single game.
He was dead serious.
Dead serious, didn't care who was around. He shot him in front of his daughter. Like, he don't care. Like, bro, I'm told, and if we keeping it all the way a buck, he gave him numerous warnings.
He did.
Numerous warnings.
He did.
And he could have just left it on some like, you can leave out of here with your life. Go home to your family, bro. But leave me and mine alone.
Yeah.
Just that ego. He do whatever he want. He runs the city.
Yeah.
Nigga, whatever. Good night, Maddie. And let this be a lesson. And I really mean this. Like, cats don't play about, and it's men and women. They don't play about their partners. So some people who are crimes, in Rachel's words, crimes of passion. That was a crime of passion. Yep. He didn't even, all that anger was really towards Maddie. But also, Lou, you know my family. Like, bro, we was just at your crib dancing.
I trusted you.
Yeah, like, and you out here sneaking, and you I saw you already.
Yep.
I didn't see y'all do anything, but I saw y'all do everything.
Yep.
But
it's the way you were looking at her.
Look how they was dancing together in the opening scene.
Yeah. You know what?
She was twerking on that man.
Yeah. It's extremely disrespectful. I don't care how cool we are, how far we go back. I'm not doing all of that.
Yep.
As a married woman, oh no, nigga. Oh no, married man in front of my damn husband. I'm not going.
And think about if you him and you think about the lie she probably told him to get to the garage with Lewis. Like
that's the part we ain't really touched on, how brazen it was, bro. You in the carriage house, like right on the same property. Like anybody could walk in here at any time. Like Raw Dog, he on some
they're fooling.
When Cousin Faith was getting jammed out at the studio. That's what that reminded me of.
It was
like just to disregard, just the like, bro, what do you own? Like,
yeah, brazen foolishness.
That scene makes me mad when you turn the light on, bro. Like, why would you even turn the light on? Obviously, somebody in here.
Yeah, I'm about to say he knew he was caught up.
Right. Mine, and we kind of skipped past it, but it was just the dinner table when they were discussing the whole being in the house for forever, just a conversation between the grandmother and the kids and Roz and them, like, well, get the little hoodlums runned over. I don't care, These are well-off kids. I talk all the time about spoiled rich kids. Even though they in the Bayou, they are that. And grandma really ain't going. You know what I'm saying? Madeira's like, hey, fuck disrespectful ass kids.
Yeah, that's when Lewis said, Roz, I love my sister, but she's not unfamiliar to the inside of a mental hospital.
Yeah.
Like,
I ain't like how they was letting Cicely play Moselle. Again,
I ain't like it either.
Place.
Straight up. Rachel, did you have any other scenes written down?
No, that's fine.
All right, none of y'all mentioned one of my favorite scenes in the whole film.
Go for it, brother.
Reynard. Her telling that story about Reynard. Her husband, like just the way it was shot, everything about it's
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's like
that
one of those
things, trick, and
100%. Like just and that's doubles as my come see about me moment, Rachel. So
Jose pulled up.
Yeah, he pulled up. The shot was just, as far as scenes go, I love it because of the shot. I love the not knowing it's a real story. You're invested in it. You're invested in it more because you actually see it in the background. You see the way Debbie Morgan,
the voiceover, I love that too.
Not even a voiceover, just when someone, if that was a real conversation, if I was in that room and she was recollecting that, I felt her get lost in her memories.
Yeah,
she got lost in those memories that she's telling that story. Like her, yes, she's in the room physically. And I think this is what the shot was trying to show us. In her head, she was at that house.
In that moment. Yeah.
Living that all over again. So everything about it, and not even expecting the build up to, he stepped up. I stood by him. You got to leave our house. All right, cool. And shot him. You know what I mean? The shot itself, keeping everybody in. But we'll talk about the rest of it when we get to come see about me. So I had that. I think we got some scenes. Best quotes.
I got don't be cute. Who them? They always mad. Roz, I love my sister, but she's not unfamiliar to the inside of a mental hospital. You looking right at us, mama. Nothing ever happens behind your back.
Punched up.
Yeah. And just that whole scene is just ridiculous.
Okay.
What you got?
I've got you sober, just barely, because relatable. I may be drunk, but I'll whoop your ass, because period. Just because you a doctor, you think you know every fucking thing again. Who mad? I got that. Oh, them, they always mad. Some illness hard to put a finger on. You're a horrid old lying witch. She may be crazy, but them visions always come true. Hello, if you know somebody who have visions, you better listen. Get out the damn tub. That's literally my favorite. Ain't that much dirt in all Louisiana? Because I say that all the time. Not every night he's working. I know he's not. And then Maddie don't seem like the lonely type.
Hey, she played that.
She played that so good.
Man. I meant to say this after you were discussing it. You can only do that if you're a child.
Yep.
So if you're an adult, it's one of those like, nigga, say what you're trying to say. What you trying, like, what you getting to? A child can get away with that.
Yep.
And you even know she's being conniving, but you're like, you know what? Let me dig into this a little deeper.
And that's what he did. He took off work that night. He said, I'm gonna tell her I'm at work. Took off and pulled up at that bar.
I've got 4 quick quotes. One of them I'm really shocked that you didn't have, Rachel, because I felt like that's something that you would say. First one is, you alluded to this, that the house party and how them parties actually are. Yeah. The quote I had down: "Good night, Red. Good night, Cicely. Fuck you, Doc.
Fuck you, Doc.
Don't threaten my daughter, mama. You let her threaten me.
Yeah.
Got that scene quote. Woman, go get your palm read and let me do my work. And then the last one that I thought you were going to say, Rachel, we are a lot the same, your father and I, except I don't have no children to catch me.
Hey, that
was a bar. I ain't got no kids to catch.
Yeah.
I'm doing my shit.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Scene stiller. It's kind of hard because everybody's kind of a lead.
Yeah.
I think all of them have, for the most part. I know we're in Jurnee's, or Eve, should I say, world.
Yeah.
Lynn, everybody's kind of on the screen an equal amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Just because of a screen time thing, I'm gonna say Diane Carroll.
Okay,
that's a great pick.
I'm not mad at that.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you said I don't know if anybody heard you.
Oh, I said Debbie Morgan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Debbie Morgan, but I like Diane Carroll a lot. I think Diane Carroll actually fits the scene stiller category more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's over, and I talk about this often. I love when people are overqualified for the roles they have, and they just knock it out the park. That was probably like 3 days, and she's like, "Let me knock these few scenes out and do my Diane Carroll thing and get out of here."
Yeah.
Oh, things that bother you? Anything?
No.
I got nothing.
I didn't have anything either. Come see about me. Ray P.
Yes.
You at home with your husband. The one that likes a fire under you. Knocks on the door with the strap. Pulls out the blick. Says, hey. And you know what the thing I love most about that story? Not even love most, but the thing I found most compelling. How she said, I found myself rushing up the steps to pack my shit. You feel me? She said I was out.
She said, that's it. Fuck it. I'm gone.
Is that enough of a come see about you moment, Rachel? Is that enough?
Hey, pull it up.
Because not even Jose though. We got to give some credit to Reynard, because Reynard stepped up, and I love how she said he spoke in a tone I've never heard him. Like he wasn't playing about his wife.
Yeah.
Like what? Tell him you ain't going with him so he can get out my damn house.
He can get out my damn house.
Both of them were seeing about her. She she had the ill nah.
She got it.
Yeah. I'm in the midst of a come see about me scenario. So all of this is very funny. Yeah, if you pull up to my husband's house, yeah, you coming.
AKA your house.
Your house. Your husband's house. It's your house.
But it's my husband is here. You ain't come get me from my mama house.
Right.
You came to
the sneak spot.
Mm-hmm. You know my man is here. You don't know what the fuck we got on this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
You know what? I do have one thing that bothers me. That flashback scene made it feel like it was in a living room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that happened at the doorway, because ain't no way you even getting in the house, bro. First of all, if I'm answering the door, you're not getting in. And Moselle, if you answer the door and this nigga in my house, I promise you, we got some real issues.
You know who the fuck was at the door? She probably just went to the door, and then she was rushing up, and he came down like, nigga.
You think he bullied his way in the crib?
I think he got through the threshold.
See, that's mistake number one.
Hey.
I think he got through the threshold. That's why he was able
to. The parameter has been breached. That's it. That's where you messed up.
He told her to go pack her shit. We out of here. She was up
came
there.
In like he owned it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go get Moselle, go get your shit. We out.
We out of here.
He came through with that.
Crazy.
You staying or you going? You going with Jose, or you staying with Reynard? What you doing, Rachel?
I don't know. I don't have the answer stuff. I don't fucking know. My life's a mess.
I got a kick when I was watching this again, and I'm like, I can't wait to ask Rachel this. Cultural moments, the whole film, I'd say, but I do want to give another shout out to Southern Gothic and just
Black Southern Gothic.
Black Southern Gothic, yes, specifically. the sight, the visions,
beautiful.
just that whole. Not even. I'm sorry, not aesthetically. I just mean people who have sight, people who have visions. Like I mentioned at the beginning, that can be taboo if you're not from there. But if you are from that culture, I think they probably identified it very well. So I want to give a shout out. I think that's a big cultural moment that not a lot of people will understand. So shout out to them for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Pause. Also, shout out to Queen Sugar. Very much reminiscent of that, especially.
Yep. Good call. Good call. Any actors from The Wire? Nope. Really good soundtrack. Really good soundtrack. I don't know if anybody's listening to it recently.
I know Erykah Badu's on there.
Yeah, really good soundtrack. It's not top 10 or nothing like that, but it's worth mentioning. Wouldn't let that happen to me moments. Anybody have anything?
Like Maynard, I guess. I wouldn't be Maynard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be Maddie. Like, bitch, you a bold motherfucker. I don't know. Roz, I wish Roz wasn't so dignified. She knew. You know, she might not know everybody.
You know what? And it's funny because we ain't even mentioned the lady they called the house. That was why they was mad. They was talking shit because some lady called the house.
Yeah.
And she told me, I got 3 of his babies here. Like, come on, man.
And that's the difference between having your film set in 1962 and if it's actually set in real time in 1997.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely
classy.
I think there's definitely a Lynn Whitfield rise.
Absolutely.
Watch the kids. I got somewhere to go. I think she pulled up on her, but I think it was more of a. I mean, we did live. Patriarchy is still here, but especially back then, it was more so like this is your role. Like you be here with these kids.
She ain't work.
Yeah, you ain't. What you got to be out in these streets for?
Yeah,
like, you ain't got nothing to do. You got the money coming in. You just chill. So that's why he could be out and about and tell you. That's why he's telling her, go get your hand read and let me do my business. But yeah.
My work.
My work. Yeah, he did say it like that. School, you got any trivia?
I do. The people who don't know, Jurnee Smollett and Jake Smollett are brother and sister in real life.
Gang of them.
Roger Ebert named this film as the best film of 1997 in his book, Awake in the Dark. Deborah Cox's music video for Nobody's Supposed to Be Here was filmed on the main property, as its director, Darren Grant, was a big fan of this movie.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I couldn't wait to tell you that piece of trivia, Rachel. Because we just talked about that song like yesterday.
Damn, that's crazy.
Literally just talked about that song yesterday. Either way, keep going, School.
This movie appeared on Entertainment Weekly's list of the 50 best movies you've never seen in July 16th, 2012 issue. In the film, Moselle Batiste is about to marry her 4th husband. Debbie Morgan has had 4 husbands in real life. Through earning 17 nominations and winning 12 from various different film groups and being named the best movie of the year by Roger Ebert, the film received 0 Academy Award nominations, which is crazy. Jurnee Smollett and Megan Good later would star together in Roll Bounce, 2005. That's all I got.
Cool. I don't have anything additional to add to that. Before we get into Too High, Too Low, Just Right, obviously it's not a favorite scene because it's difficult to watch, but I do just want to, we mentioned earlier how trigger warning this film can be. We talked about how did it happen, did it not happen? The film leaves it kind of unsolved in a sense, but I want to just emphasize before we get out of here, it's not about that. It's just about the trauma.
Yeah.
Traumatic events and how they happen and how they affect you, especially at that young age. So sometimes things don't have to go a certain way for it to not be traumatic to you and have an impact on your life for years and years to come. So I think that very smartly, that was the overall message when it came to that portion. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does in the grand scheme of things that this is real life, but at the end of the day, either side, it's still going to have some kind of impact in things. And just telling that, and I think it's something worth. I don't want to dive into those waters because that's a whole conversation, and I think there are more people that are better qualified to have that.
Absolutely.
But I did just want to acknowledge it because that's a huge part of the film, and I don't want to
Yes.
have a conversation and act like we just didn't see that.
Didn't see that part.
That didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I skipped it in my scenes, but actually, when Mozella's asking Eve for her secret, and Eve blocks it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that she still saw it, and Debbie didn't want her to. Like, I mean, and even though Eve blocked it a little bit, I think that because of the maturation of her gifts, I think that she saw a little something, but didn't know because she knew enough to confront Lewis about what happened.
Yep.
Even
Because
though
he wrote that letter.
Side, we see the jolt, you know what I'm saying? And the blockage.
Yeah, I agree 100% because he wrote that letter to her explaining himself. So she confronted him about it. I don't think we saw that confrontation.
Yep.
So,
and that goes back to, full circle, goes back to the director's cut when they're destroying that letter. When you have Cicely and Eve destroying that letter, Uncle Tommy's watching them destroy the letter in the film.
That is actually very creepy. I'm sorry. I'm glad that is not in the film. I do not like that.
It's different. It's like I say, it was an inspiration from her real family, so it was personal to her. But I think it still plays how it needs to. There's nothing wrong with the theatrical version of the version we have now. I think it just adds a little bit more confusion because, like I said, it'd be different if that was someone who can be there and say, all right, no, this is what really happened. But he was a mute. He couldn't say anything anyway. Exactly. So it just didn't serve. It just added another element to what is the truth? What is the memory that this really happened? So on and so forth. With that being said, well, did we get everything? There's a lot of layers in this film. I just want to make sure we got everything going. I know we had 1 hour and 16 right now. I think I covered everything I
think
wanted
we got it.
Ray P, you got anything else that you wanted to go over?
You got it.
All right, cool. Damn, I ain't asked y'all if it's classic or not, but I guess we all know it's a classic.
Classic. There. I thought that's where we were going. Classic or not,
We're going too high, too low, just right. My bad. But 100% classic. We forgot to do that earlier, but 100%. The average viewer rates this film 7.2 out of 10. Ray P, too high, too low, just right.
Too low, 8.
Too low, 8.2.
Too low, 7.8.
Okay,
7.8. Too low, 7.8. Incredible film.
Yes.
Still is one of the most unique films that I've ever seen.
Yes.
One of those films you can watch over and over and catch different things. And even if you don't catch anything different, the way your mind thinks about a scenario might change.
Yeah.
You could watching, I mentioned it, watching this film at 21 is different than watching it at 36.
Absolutely.
Or, whatever day that I have children and have a family, I'm sure that'll be a different viewing for me than what it is right now. So any film that can change your thought process with each watch, I think is worth every accolade that it gets. Once again, you have a film like Eve's Bayou, which is an undisputed classic that I don't think is discussed enough in mainstream or whoever else you want to call it. So I'm thankful for the both of you that we have a platform that we can give a film like this as flowers because we could really do a part 2 if we wanted to. Who knows? That might happen. I think this is one of those unique films to where you can take some time off, watch it again, and maybe bring some extra questions to the table. So either way, we appreciate y'all out there for rocking with us. Another episode in the books. We have a big milestone next week, episode 50.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have something special for y'all next Thursday. Don't forget about We Got Y'all on television feed. We have Succession going on right now. We're rolling right into Run the World, so that'll be an active feed for at least the next 3 months. 10 episodes, and we still got another 4 or 5 episodes. So it's going to be active for a while. So check us out over there. Please subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, The Culture Garden Podcast. With that being said, y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace.
Bye.
That's a wrap.